Good morning, Denise Dryden here. And I tried to start it just a second ago and I lost my connection, so I just terminated it. So sorry for the false start. Of course, it brings up all sorts of like, oh my God, what if I can't do this? And I start to get all agitated and sweaty, which is perfect because what we're going to talk about today are the essentials of self-soothing. You go figure. So self-soothing is a tool that I work with in my coaching, and it's also one of the key tools that the students work with at a therapeutic boarding school. I coach the parents at Summit Prep here in Kalispell, Montana, and self-soothing is their mastery on stage one. And I'm constantly amazed at how powerful the tool of self-soothing is. So I thought I would pass it on to you, especially since we've got political unrest, we've got news kind of coming in all the time telling us what's happening. We have, at least here in Whitefish, some local news that's a little disturbing sometimes. We have family relationships, we have personal relationships, we have stressors. And all of these things seem to catch up with us every once in a while. And so it's all about how do we self-soothe. So what came up for me is that sometimes I teach sensitivity, and when sensitives get overwhelmed or when sort of emotional bodies get really overwhelmed, things start coming in at them, they start going into that fight or flight syndrome of, a shorter breathing and a little agitation and overwhelm, or they want to just sort of pull away and hide. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for joining me today. They get irritated, they get uncomfortable. Sometimes sensitives freeze. They just absolutely freeze up. What happens when we're not a sensitive and we are in this sort of agitated relationship with another person and we're having an argument or we're having a power struggle, especially between a parent and a child? What happens when these things start happening to us? Our anxiety rises, we withdraw, we get agitated, as I said, and the thing that happens the most, at least for me, is this monkey mind, this like, where did that come from? What caused that? How am I supposed to do that? And I go, wheeze, wheeze, wheeze. And it just keeps me in a constant state of agitation. So knowing that these things happen to us and they come from the outside in, and then it's how we decide to process all of that or not process it and let it go. These are the kinds of things that I want to talk about today. Is what happens when something's going on and it's taking us off our center, it's taking us out of balance, it's taking us away from who we want to be. And we have to be very conscious about how to get back there. So our instincts are to separate and to blame. So when we are feeling agitated, we start to look around like, it's got to be that, it's got to be this, it's this person. If you would only stop doing that, then I would feel better. And that's a real adolescent thinking, which is somebody else is doing this to me. And it would make sense because not all of us practice these kinds of tools. And I had an opportunity this week to really deepen the tools. I'm going to grab something. To really deepen these tools in my own personal experience. And I had to play with these, and I thought, isn't that just sort of the way it happens? Is I come up with a concept and I have to learn how to practice it so that I can turn around and pass it on to you. In yoga they teach us that if we go to our own 80%, get into a pose and go, don't push it so hard that everything's stressing. Go to where, push it and then back off. And hang out at about that 80%. And then take a deep breath and expand everything and send oxygen to the place that's irritated, the place that's sort of tapping you, the shoulder that's tight, the hip, the back of the legs, the toes, the hands, whatever that is. Put breath into it, expand it all, and then as you exhale, relax into it and let the muscles, let the tension relax with it. So in yoga, what we do is we actually go after a spot with our breath. So breath is really an important piece in how we self-soothe and how we can access our breath. But we're not going to spend the whole time focusing on breath because we've been doing that a lot. So first, whenever we are in a situation where we feel triggered, is to recognize I'm feeling triggered. Something in me is causing an agitation. My mind is starting to spin. My hands are starting to get sweaty. I'm starting to get that, oh God, that ache in my neck. All those things that happen when we start to get triggered. So the first piece is to recognize, what does triggering look like for you? What does it feel like inside? What are the cues that remind you that something's off and I'm starting to hold a lot of stuff inside? So the first thing is to quiet the mind, to let go of your stories, that monkey mind, to let go of cause and effect. How did that happen? Did I do this right? Did I do that right? And that looping that we do when we're searching for the meaning of, why is this happening to me? Because what we're doing is we're looking for something outside of ourselves. And that doesn't work. When we're looking for something outside of ourselves, we forget that we have all the tools inside. And we shut down, or I won't say we shut down our response, but we start producing all this fight or flight adrenaline. And our cortisol levels start, freaking out, and then they start pumping, and everything starts going into agitation mode. So what we want to do is we want to look at, how do we calm that down? So we want to explore ways to release these overactive thoughts, to get ourselves centered. And then this is something that you have to do solo. This isn't something that you can pick up the phone and call a friend. I asked a parent once, what do you do to self-soothe? Well, I call my girlfriend. Well, that's external. What we want to do is we want to move it internal. We want to make it about, what can you do for yourself? So some ideas, some things that students have taught me over the years, some things that I work with, some things that I've noticed in others, is that, I am learning the art of meditation. Last night, I was able to sit in a place for an hour, a whole hour, and just let myself breathe and be. And it's taken me some years and some practice to get to that point where I can sit there. Take a walk. Knit. I see students all the time in program working with their knitting needles, which is a DBT skill of reducing anxiety. Listening to music, relaxing to music, maybe dancing to music, allowing yourself to sort of play with it. Sometimes when I dance and I realize that I'm just holding on to things that I don't need to. The beautiful part is I have a really nice spot in my basement so I can go down and dance and put the music on and just get lost in it. And that's a tool that works for me when I realize I'm just completely tipped. I'm gone. I go down and I dance. Give yourself a foot massage. Just sit, even if you're, just sit in the chair, bring your foot up and just, with some lotion, just rub the toes and realize that in reflexology, all of the places on our foot hold energy, and they correspond with our bones and our organs and our nerve system. So just start the process of rubbing your foot or rubbing your hands. What does it really take to just self-nurture and just rub on these fingers and let them know that you and your hand, you and your body are starting to reconnect. Do some yoga moves, as I said. Yoga is really awesome. Woodworking, something you can do with your hands. I cook. I'll start to put some music on and then get in the kitchen and start to just do something that brings me joy, absolute joy. Sit with a pet, if you have a cat, bring the cat over and just say, I need your help right now. I need you to just help me deepen into some breathing. The other part is the tool, and we'll do this another time, is really, putting your hands back in your above your lower back, sort of above your hips where your kidneys are, and just holding them and rocking them and letting yourself know that you're okay. So these self-soothing tools, the reason I'm teaching them is that when we recognize that we're triggered, that we're tipping, that something's not working, we have a choice. Do I continue that on? Do I try to blast through it? Do I try to throw my agitation on somebody else, which, we know doesn't work? Am I constantly thinking I'm balanced and this other person is causing me stress? But the thing is that it's you. It's your awareness and it's your choice. We're at a choice point. What is it that I choose to do to separate myself from what's going on, to do some solo, individual work on what it takes for me to calm my breathing down? Because once I can sort of remove everything from my head and start shifting into my heart, start expanding things with breath, start calming it down with some self-nurturing. Then I noticed that I'm not so quick in my reaction. I'm not in judgment. I'm not in blame. I'm starting to take ownership. And I think that's the whole point of self-soothing. And when a kiddo in program can demonstrate, can really start to show what they do when they're triggered and how they get out of that, it's the most beautiful, grown-up sort of movement that they make. So choosing to self-soothe, choosing to self-nurture, this is a powerful tool for powerful times. We're going to need every bit of our ability in these next weeks, days, weeks, months, years, to understand what's coming at me from outside. What can I do about it? And how can I keep myself calm and clear so that I know what's real and what's not real? So explore, challenge yourself, own it, and God, I just lost my train of thought. Own it. Own it. This is me. This is what I do to make myself feel better. So self-soothing, fantastic tool. So I'm Denise Dryden. I'm an integrational coach. I work with parents. I work with moms. I work with dads. I work with young adults. And I would love to chat with you if you find these videos interesting. So have a wonderful day out there. And I'll talk to you next week. You can find me at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.